Your patience. Just going to wrap everything up, and we will begin in 2 minutes. So hold with it just for a little bit longer, yeah?
Hello.
Yo, Kamu, what are you doing here?
Hey, Raph, what's good?
How's it going?
Good. So we're really doing this, huh?
I guess we are.
It's a lot more people than I was actually expecting.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, should we try that again?
Yeah, let's try it again.
All right, run it back. All right, hi everyone. I'm Camu Pepe Scott.
My name is Rafael Waldman.
And this is the 2023 Think Global School Symposium.
Good evening. Good evening and Kalispera. Welcome to the grand finale of our school's end-of-year symposium here in the captivating city of Athens, Greece.
That's right, Raph. We're so pleased to have all of you gathered here tonight as we celebrate a peak of a year filled with remarkable project, innovative ideas, and passionate pursuit of addressing global challenges.
Indeed, Kamu. From the ancient birthplace of democracy, we stand together here as a community, embracing the spirit of collaboration and the power of education to make a difference in our world today.
As we embark on this evening's journey, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the tremendous effort of our brilliant students, dedicated teachers, and supportive parents. Without their unwavering commitment and enthusiasm, tonight's events would not be possible.
Absolutely. And speaking of projects, tonight we have the privilege of introducing you to a myriad of initiatives that we've been working on throughout the year. From tackling the trash problem in South Africa to solving issues related to the oceans all over the world, each project represents a beacon of hope and a step toward a brighter future.
But before we dive right in, we should break down some of the terms that are used in project-based learning that you guys might not be quite familiar with.
Okay, so tonight our students are going to present mastery, service learning, personal projects, and our capstone class.
Whoa, okay. That's a lot. Slow it down. Let's try that again.
Okay, so sorry. Why don't we start from the top? Mastery projects and personal projects, the absolute backbone of TGS. Mastery projects are long-term and very in-depth projects that students choose to do on a specific topic of interest or passion, generally done over a year. Personal projects are generally a little bit shorter term, where students will tend to just bring the surface of a specific topic of their choice. But wait, Kamu, you're literally in this school as well. Why don't you tell them about service learning projects?
All right, so service learning is initially a teacher-led that then becomes a student-led project where students essentially will find a problem in the community and then make a project and how they address it.
Ah, that's where the whole changemaker thing comes in.
Okay, so, but what about when you go to college, right? And they ask you to write essays and papers, but all you know how to do is just make all these projects.
Don't worry, Sophie prepares that, and Louisa and Santi will talk about it. The AP Capstone program. It's a teacher-led class that teaches you how to write very academically rigorous papers and also give academically rigorous presentations. And through a little bit of sleep and way too much caffeine, you will be able to be prepared for college and have a great time writing academic papers.
So now, everyone, fasten your seatbelts and get ready for an inspiring event filled with inspiring presentation, thought-provoking discussions, and and heartwarming stories about resilience and progress.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Now let's dive into the symposium, experience the transformative power of education, and witness firsthand the incredible impact their students are making.
And as we embark on this journey, it's our pleasure to introduce a guest speaker who embodies the spirit of purpose and has dedicated their life to addressing global challenges.
Let the symposium begin. As many of you know, from his eclectic personality to his heavy impact in advocacy and the government, we're welcoming Krzysztof Stupka from the Czech Republic, a class of 2017 graduate, former UN youth delegate, human rights activist, a member of the Czech government, and just recently graduated from a master's from the prestigious University of Science Po. Everybody, please welcome Christoph.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely not a member of government, just to clarify that. I'm actually on an advisory committee of the Czech government for LGBTQ+ rights. But let me begin today with a story. So really, tackle your seatbelts because this is going to be long. We were sitting around a campfire in Canada on an island. It was approximately 6 years ago, or maybe a little less. And my classmates and I wrote down our first impressions of each other. We wrote down words of gratitude and wishes for the future. It was our own beautiful little ritual of farewell and our own version of a see you somewhere again letter. But on my letter, some classmates wrote that when they first met me, they were not able to understand my thick Eastern European accent and were unsure if I would be able to graduate. Well, joke's on them. I not only graduated, but here I am today delivering an alumni speech. And no one, me included, had seen that plot twist coming. When I boarded my first flight to a TGS destination, I was a boy feeling lost and hurt, seeking refuge from a life wrapped in the constraints of fundamentalist Catholic environment. I arrived to TGS unsure of what the future would hold, or even if I could myself face it. But within weeks at TGS, and for the first time in my life, I was truly able to be my authentic self. Not only was I able to be my authentic self, but I was encouraged by my teachers and supported by my friends and continuously humbled by my nerdy classmates. TGS became the place where I found my voice, my purpose, and my passion. In 2016, a whopping 7 years ago, I stood up on this very stage. Not literally, of course, because it was in another country. But I stood up on this Symposium stage and I gave a speech that laid down the foundation for my very journey as a human rights advocate. Back then, I almost didn't apply for the spot because I was doubting myself. I was battling my inner demons. And I was worried if I could express my thoughts well. And if it weren't for my wonderful, wonderful English teacher, Brianna, who pushed me beyond my comfort zone, I might have never taken this stage and I wouldn't be standing here today. But once the big day arrived in this speech on heteronormativity and homophobia, I did not go short of criticizing this school's outdated heteronormative policies. And this is also why I was quite not expecting a comeback. But life can be like a TikTok algorithm, unpredictable, and yet so eerily spot on. So thank you, Joanne, thank you, Adnan, thank you, Michelle and Rachel, our incredible staff, alumni watching from the comforts of their home, and of course, the teachers. Thank you for making this possible and for helping me conquer my self-doubt. Thank you for laying down the foundations of who I am today and putting up with me even when I did not make it easy. It was thanks to you that I discovered my purpose in advocating for human rights that led me to becoming who I am today. And now to you, dear students. My hope is that TGS has been as transformative for you as it was for me. And if you feel like it wasn't, wait until you graduate and the real world kicks in. Because TGS might have rules that make you roll your eyes. I know, those early curfews felt like being a Cinderella without a fairy godmother. And I hear the rules have you all behaving today. Perhaps a bit too much. It wouldn't be me if I didn't criticize the school at least a little bit. Because have we all forgotten that the best friend you made as a teenager was the one you have broken the rules with? But truth be told, no institution will ever nurture your personal development as this school does. Cherish those moments and milk it while you can, like it's the last piece of avocado toast on a Sunday brunch. By now, you might have noticed a recurring theme with my Gen Z references. The other day, while I was working with the students on their speeches, one of them quipped, "Christoph, can you really call yourself Gen Z when you're almost a decade older?" This, my friends, is the moment I felt the cold grip of boomer status reaching for me. But fear not, because I remain firmly in the Gen Z camp. So much so that I was recently invited to a podcast to ponder on the very essence of being Gen Z. And as in true Gen Z fashion, embracing my commitment to minimal effort and maximum efficiency, I turned to TikTok for my research. And one of the first videos that I stumbled upon proposed an intriguing idea. We are called Generation Z because we are the last generation, and Z is the last letter of the alphabet. And we are indeed the last generation to put up with all this BS. With all the inequalities, homophobia, racism, and climate change inaction that plague our world today. We are the last generation to leave our fate solely in the hands of the boomers, the ones who haven't done as splendid a job as they might have thought. We are here to hold you to account and make sure to take action. And so this goes to you, dear class of 2023. As you embark on this new chapter, I have to be honest with you. The reality is that you are graduating into a world in crisis. Besties, it's a mess out there. We find ourselves on a precipice of truly monumental global challenges. Our planet is on fire, both in a distressing, all too real sense and metaphorically, in a crisis of existential threat. Forests, our lungs of the earth, are being turned to ashes as testament of our neglect. Species, an integral thread in the fabric of our ecosystems, are vanishing at an alarming rate. Each disappearance is an echo of a warning cry, a reminder of the intricate, delicate balance that sustains life as we know it, being progressively eroded by our actions. Heat waves, once confined to the realms of desert plains, are now knocking on the doors of regions ill-prepared for such extremes. In Canada, where we graduated, a land known for its icy winters and cool summers, people are succumbing to blistering temperatures. The mercury rises, and with it, the grim toll of lives lost, serving as a chilling reminder of the urgency of climate action. New York City, the city that never sleeps, is sinking. Not just because of the rising oceans, but also because the very foundation of this city can no longer support the heavy layers of concrete and glass that make the city we love. Other cities, such as Venice, are on the brinks of collapse, while cities like Jakarta are being moved. Some nations, though, aren't so lucky to have a place to move their cities to. People of Maldives, Samoa, Nauru, and Tuvalu are going to lose their land, their cultures, and their memories. Some only have years to go. And as the Earth's physical crises unfold, social inequalities persist, and in some areas deepen. Gender equality, a goal we once thought was within arm's reach, has taken a staggering step backwards in the turmoil of the COVID-19 pandemic. The virus did not just attack our health. It gnawed away at the foundations of societal progress we had so painstakingly built. And let us not forget the struggle for LGBTQ+ rights. In an era where acceptance should be universal, the wheels of progress had begun to grind to a painful halt, and in some heartbreaking instances, to roll back down the hill of hard-fought battles, such as the terrifying news from Uganda. where just 2 days ago a law was passed that punishes homosexuality by life imprisonment and in some cases the death penalty. Dear graduates, this reality is sobering, even daunting, but it's not unconquerable. And this is why we're here today. We're here because TGS is a transformative journey that teaches us to listen, to observe, to reflect, and to grow. We're here because hopefully TGS is a place where you will find your voice, your passion, and your purpose. And as you do, remember, with privilege comes responsibility. I hope that you will continue on the path that you've started here at TGS, and that you will use your voices to make the world a better place. Your journey after TGS is not only about your career, it's about being your authentic self, finding joy in your fullest expression. Like the ancient Japanese concept of ikigai teaches us, your purpose is found at the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. So as you embark on this journey, remember, it's also okay to be lost. You will eventually find your balance, your center, and your purpose. You are the change makers. So seize the world, but in your own terms, because no one has ever won a medal for putting others' needs before their own. Embrace your authentic selves and allow it to guide your purpose. In the end, remember, your actions will define what comes next. So go out there and carve your path, and do it with all of the fire, passion, determination that you have within you. And finally, as you face the world, remember to laugh, to take things in stride, and never forget to occasionally make fun of yourself. After all, we're all just making it up as we go along, one TikTok dance at a time. Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Christophe. Really amazing, thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Luisa and Santi.
As countries continue to grow and expand, we're developing our societies to the extent of our nature. By the end of the Symposium event, 5 square kilometers of trees will have been cut down in the Amazon rainforest. But that's just a portion of the 11,000 kilometers that are deforested each year in the Amazon. In other places in the world, natural disasters continue to increase as a result of climate change. In 2022 alone, we had 87 tropical storms. Environmental challenges like this have become common. And while we recognize their existence, we often forget of the people who are most affected by it: the small, local, and indigenous communities of the world.
When we think about tackling these challenges, we usually think about the next big digital innovations or about bureaucrats making big decisions. But what if, instead of trying to tackle these issues through neo-colonial decision-making, we try to empower local communities and people to apply their generational knowledge and better equip their homelands to deal and tackle with these modern challenges?
Throughout this year, Santi and I researched and challenged our assumptions on how we can go through the world's global environmental challenges and build resilient futures by working with the communities instead of working for them.
We looked at 2 different case studies. The first one was about Amazonian indigenous groups, and the other one was about local communities in the Philippines. Now, while these may sound like two very different scopes, we were both able to reach the same conclusion. We need to protect local knowledge and apply it. Now, before we proceed with both of our case studies, we want to clarify. By no means are we members of these communities, and we are not speaking for them. These are simply the main takeaways from our research.
When thinking of building resilient futures, what stands out to me as someone who grew up in Brazil is the importance of indigenous knowledge. Did you guys know that indigenous peoples only represent 5% of the world's population, yet they protect 80% of the world's biodiversity? In the Amazon, more specifically, we have more than 1.5 million indigenous peoples who are actively working to protect the rainforest. They do this through stewardship practices established in symbiosis with nature. Unfortunately, these peoples are constantly being threatened by destructive extractivist activities such as mining and deforestation. On top of that, they're being threatened by the lack of land recognition and land sovereignty. As a result, these peoples are being forced to migrate due to the unfavorable conditions in their lands. In my research, I thought, how can we better support these indigenous groups? And the result that I found is through empowering local indigenous knowledge in the Amazon. Different studies have shown that indigenous peoples have complex and efficient technologies that are able to manage the environment. From natural systems built to improve poor soil quality, to adaptation strategies used to implement to boost fishing, indigenous peoples have proven over and over again that they are capable of adapting, being resilient, and preserving the environment altogether. So, the conclusion that I found is that when looking at resilient futures, we shouldn't necessarily rely on cutting-edge innovations, but on local indigenous knowledge.
Meanwhile, I looked into the issue of natural disasters and how they are dealt with in the Philippines, and I surprisingly found that the key of dealing with this issue might lie in local voices. The Philippines is one of the most vulnerable countries when it comes to natural disasters in the world. In 2022 alone, they were hit by 18 tropical storms, and they were also ravaged by 5 different earthquakes with a magnitude higher than 5. This is why, in the 1990s, the Filipino government took an initiative and developed a system known as community-based disaster management. What this system does is that the national government provides funds for local communities, which are known as barangays, and the barangays themselves are able to invest these funds to better train their people to deal with natural disasters and to develop better infrastructure. This way, local communities become active leaders in the development of plans that will affect their own safety, and they can guide outside help, such as from NGOs and volunteers, to best fit their choices and what their priorities are. Some key aspects of this model include the protection of vulnerable groups, and another key aspect is the usage of local values and knowledge to better implement these solutions. So, with all of this in mind, it becomes clear that local knowledge has been efficient and is efficient solution to dealing with natural disasters. And this Filipino framework could be effectively implemented in countries all around the world and could be used so that local communities could have a voice in how they deal with their own issues and they could develop their own effective solutions.
While Santi and I were looking at different communities, we've both explored the power of empowering local voices. So, now that we understand their value, what is our role in empowering these communities?
First, we need to make sure that decision-making is fully participatory. What this means is that all changes should be implemented from the bottom up, not from the top downwards.
And this could look different based on the community we're working with. So for example, in Bolivia, the UN has already begun to facilitate cross-collaboration by bringing together different stakeholders, such as indigenous peoples, environmental organizations, public authorities, and private institutions to discuss on projects taking place in indigenous lands.
Meanwhile, in the Philippines, the barangays have been given the autonomy to make the best decisions for their own people. while still being able to collaborate with other communities to set strong foundations for a better future. So, with that in mind, we need to start shifting our focus into hearing and listening what the local communities have to say in dealing with environmental issues. This right here is only a short extract from months and months of research and investigation into the topic of creating better resilient futures. But despite all of the different lenses and perspectives that we have looked into, all pointed at one solution. We need to start listening and protecting local knowledge and the indigenous and traditional knowledge of the people.
These communities have accumulated generational knowledge. So, before we think of building resilient futures, we first need to recognize the knowledge of the people from the past and the present. If we come together to empower these voices, we will be able to find better solutions to the world's environmental challenges. But first, we need to stop and listen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louisa and Santi, for that inspiring speech about how we can go forwards in the future. Next up, we'd like to welcome Yeli to the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you, my good sir. Hello, my name is Fatuyeli Kuruma, and I am many things, but one thing I am is an author. So I'm going to tell you about my book, The Farafina Tales. In West Africa, specifically in Senegal, 31% of women are child brides. In Guinea, nearly 97% of women have undergone female genital mutilation or cutting. In Liberia, nearly 20% of citizens support violence against women or children. In order to understand why this issue is so pervasive in the regions, I interviewed different experts around the continent, and I found that lack of legislation, the ineptitude of law enforcement, negative cultural perception of women, and lack of economic opportunity are all factors that contribute to this issue. In my research, I also found this amazing paper, which shows how children's literature was able to shift perspectives of gender in young children in Rwanda. Taking all this together, it made me ask a question. How might I promote gender equality to a young West African population using literature? And in my journey to answer this question, I wrote a 30,000-word novel manuscript for 8 to 12-year-olds that won a Scholastic Gold Key for the region of New York and a Scholastic Art and Writing National Silver Medal. So this book follows a young girl, she's 13, her name is Mariama, and with the help of a secret society of African heroes, she's able to save her school from developers that are trying to turn it into a mall, which is a very common problem. So how was I able to write this book? What was the process? Let's get into it. Firstly, I had to gain an understanding of how to write for children. It's an acquired skill. It's not writing like for everybody else. So I took this 150-hour course, and I received a distinction in this course. After taking the course, I went and did a chapter-by-chapter outline and made the world come to life through world building and characters and understanding the settings. Taking this outline, I went and got feedback from mental health and gender-based violence experts, children's book authors, in-country TGS mentors, as well as children in my target audience. With their feedback, I wanted to make sure that the theme of gender-based violence and gender equality was very clear to readers. In order to do this, I made sure that characters in the Farafina Guild is the secret society of African heroes, were very clear in this message. So the main character, as suggested by a gender-based finance expert, is particularly interested in STEM. The antagonist or the bad guys constantly discredit her because of her gender. And there is a male character, Musa, who is the main character's best friend, who acts as a positive role model to young boys, acting as a beacon of support and respect. In the Farafina Guild, they're all made of real, influential African men and women who have made impact in their societies, such as Ya Asintewa from Ghana. These people aim to show the immense impact that women have had in the region, and they provide positive role models for students to read and look to in the future. So, now that I understand the themes and how to write, I gotta write it. So I wrote 1,000 words a day for the month of November using the National Novel Writing Month resources and community, which was kind of crazy because I was in Mexico on beaches just going crazy. But it all ended up well. Finally, I went through nearly 3 drafts of the book, and I connected with the Bookworm Cafe in Lagos, Nigeria, and was able to distribute this book to a group of 8 students from aged 8 to 11. And they read the book from July to September and provided me with critical feedback, which I used to get my final draft. So from this project, I want to inspire young people like my fellow students and around the world to use art to ignite profound social changes, because art is powerful, and through it, we can fix some of the issues that are so pervasive in our society today. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ellie. That was truly amazing. Well done. Okay, now I'd like to call up someone you guys have already heard from today, Raf.
Hello again. I'd like to start today with a really simple question. Do we live in a connected society? I think we can all probably agree that we do. With this new digital age, it's so easy to access people. But it's important for us to question how deep these connections really are. With over 4.5 billion active users across social media, we can easily fall into this endlessly scrolling trap. We think we're being social, feeling connected, and belonging to a community, but in reality, we're just endlessly scrolling on TikTok or Instagram. There's statistics to back this up as well. Over 60% of the entire population in the US claims to feel lonely on a regular basis, which goes to show there's a clear disconnect between the perception and the reality of the matter. But why is this even important, and what does this have to do with our TGS community? Well, everything. Just because we're from an innovative and creative school, it doesn't mean that we don't fall into this endlessly scrolling trap, this illusion of connectivity. Given that we're in this innovative and cutting-edge boarding school, though we are pretty well connected with those we already know, I am certain that there's value in strengthening those connections with those who we're less familiar with. Because something that all students, past and current, in this room know is that through thick and through thin, only the people that went through the TGS experience really get it. The stress, the excitement, the highs, the lows, the travel, the growth, that's only something that students can understand. And with that comes an undeniable aspect of familiarity and comfort with those who once attended TGS. Not only is there a connection between all TGS students, but there's also a plethora of knowledge and experience each and every single student can bring to the table. Therefore, having the privilege to be a student and member of this community in a time where loneliness is becoming a really global problem, I took it upon myself to make this community a more active community because it's so important. But despite how much I can complain about things, which those of you who know me can be quite often. I'm a firm believer that if you're passionate enough to do something about an issue, it's in your hands to go and do something about it. And that's essentially exactly what I did. I'll show you, 1 second. It's upside down. With my mastery project, the Hindsight Podcast. When I realized it was in my hands to take this project and this issue into my own hands, I knew there needed to be an additional framework to be established, where the knowledge garnered by both current and past students could be shared with new students and beyond. When each student signs up to be a student at their school, they make a lifelong commitment to be a learner. My step towards making this already tight-knit community even closer was to create my podcast, where the previous generations of TGS students are able to share their work experiences, their lifestyles, and most importantly, their incredible journeys to get to wherever they currently are. Through my work, I wanted to ensure that we can multiply this learning, this knowledge, and keep alive the connections between current TGS students and alumni. So, fast forward 8 months and 4 published episodes later, with one coming very soon. The Hindsight Podcast has truly been a great success. Many current students telling me that they found comfort in listening to the podcast themselves because it reassured them that everything in the end was going to be okay, that this incredible and unique experience really counts for something in the real world. But with learning from everybody else, also came learning from myself and personal growth. And talking to people with so many different lifestyles and so many ways to define their own happiness, I learned a really important lesson, and that there's no straightforward path to achieving success, and that this standardized idea of success is ridiculous and overrated in the first place. It's also very oversimplified. True fulfillment can only be determined by one's own criteria, which they should define and interpret in their own fitting way, which if you go listen to the podcast episodes, you'll see. So, what do I want you guys to take away from this speech? I simply want to restate the importance of being a part of this active and tight-knit community in a day and age where loneliness is truly becoming a global problem. And the Hindsight Podcast is simply my contribution to the one thing that I believe makes us, our communities. Thank you. Also, if you couldn't tell, please scan the QR code, go follow the podcast, and then you can also see when new ones come out. But next, we have a special guest and my dear friend, Mehdia.
What is a community without the presence of women? Taliban announced their new government in Afghanistan in 2021, and Afghanistan collapsed. And since then, it was not an easy life for women in Afghanistan. Now it has been 610 days since the Taliban banned millions of girls from going to schools. This is 610 days of no education, 610 days of torture, and 610 days of misery for women. Since August 2021, right 1 month after I left Afghanistan, Taliban took power in Afghanistan and the presence of women in society has been diminished. Millions of girls are banned from going to schools, universities, work, or getting any type of education, just for the crime of being a girl. This is a very big challenge for the society that has led many people raising their voices in Afghanistan and stand against Taliban, while no male other people were supporting them. They took risks to defy this rule. In Afghanistan, outside Afghanistan, in different corners of the world, and using the power of social media to let the world hear their voices. And all of these led to nothing but empty classrooms for women. Now, my share in helping people in being far away from Afghanistan and not being able to help them in person is educating them far from Afghanistan. I launched English for Afghan Women program to enhance girls' skills in English language and other soft skills who are not able to go to school or university or get any type of education. And it has been 2 years. So I launched this program through September to December last year through Afghan Youth Empowerment Camps, which is an organization that my friends and I founded in 2019. We had done different programs to empower youth in Afghanistan. And in my journey in TGS, I launched this program to help them with their language. So this is my team. And we've been working to do solve different problems and work with youth in Afghanistan, specifically women. It was a very stressful time for me as well because of my family in Afghanistan and all those, hearing those news every time. So we planned out this program and assigned tasks to different team members. We released applications for students on our social media platforms and released applications for volunteers to assist us in teaching those classes. We received around 300 applicants and we shortlisted and enrolled students based on their academic needs. These are the pictures from our previous programs. This class, English for Afghan Women, included writing classes, reading, speaking, and listening. These are what we were focusing on the most because we aim to level up their English from beginner to intermediate. The execution step of the evaluation of step of this program was meeting weekly for feedback rounds and sending out quizzes to students, assigning them their homework and letting them ask questions. And we closed out this program by giving out certificates through our organization to students and letters of recommendation to volunteers who assisted us in this program. And this was a project through Afghan Youth Empowerment Camps that I mentioned earlier. We've been doing a lot of other projects for education purposes, including project management workshop at Rana University in 2019, online programs for college preparation, another workshop about SDGs and project management workshop in Ibn Sina University, and English for Afghan women through my TGS journey. This is my team, and I'm so grateful for their contribution to this program and making this a reality. Now, I'm going to leave you with something that's been stuck with me throughout my journey. If you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Let's keep educating a nation.
Okay, thank you for that. Next, I'd like to call up Sipo. Don't turn it around.
We were promised democracy in 1994. We were promised the right to a safe environment. We were promised freedom. Yet today, over 47 million South Africans live in townships. Townships were designed by the white man to keep net blankers, non-whites. And today, these people still live in the conditions that are unsafe, that limit education, that leave you jobless. And it's reinforced by the economic divides that exist in South Africa. Poor educational systems that are funded by the government, a failing municipality. This is all one big system. And I'm just little me. What can I do about this? I can just watch from a distance as the white man continues to scrape at what's left of my countries, as puppets of politicians continue to play a show. That's right. No, it's wrong. I can't just sit and watch as my country falls apart. This issue is big. What can I do about it? So I've decided to focus in the waste aspect of this, as I have the educational expertise. I have language, and I have connections to this community, as my parents come from this community. I speak isiZulu. This is a language that is native to South Africa. So I can clearly communicate what I need to tell these communities. I understand the systems that make this system jaded. I understand the NGOs that are a part of this problem. I understand the governments that are a part of this problem. And I know the people who face the issues that are given by this problem. So during the first break, I connected with Birches, an eco school in South Africa. Their curriculum is based on sustainable lifestyles and sustainability. So I use this as a framework to implement into a government school in South Africa. I taught this during the session of LO, meaning life orientation. This is supposed to be teaching young people about their rights, the responsibilities that they have, but because of the jaded educational system, this wasn't done properly. And that's the gap that I wanted to fill. So I contacted DSW, Durban Solid Waste. They are in charge of waste for the whole city. And I contacted PET Recycling, a recycling company that provides recycling to communities. So together I drafted a contract where DSW and PET Recycling committed to providing this right to the school. And I created a framework from Birches that I taught at the school. I did 3 sessions with grade 3 students, as they're young enough to understand what I'm talking about, but also to change and to advocate in their homes. I did this with the leader from DSW, and at the same time, I built a waste management center where they'd be able to leave their waste and use the teachings that I taught them to organize it, and I created posters in isiZulu to remind them. Altogether, we collected 3 tons of paper, 2 tons of plastic, half a ton of tin, and a ton of cardboard. This was equivalent to 400 rands a month. With this money, I was able to create better classroom environments and reinvest this into the school, as it's the children's work that have enabled this to happen. This is what the grade 3s were able to do alone. Imagine a whole school. Imagine a whole community recycling and generating revenue. I hope to create more sessions, and I hope that this can be a framework that can be implemented not only in Nazareth, but other schools around South Africa to create change. My mother always told me that if I believed in something, that I should act for it. And I believe freedom is more than just a stamp on a ballot paper, but it's actions and services. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for that really inspiring speech, Sipo. Up next, we invite Samara to the stage. Please give a big round of applause for Samara.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to tell you a short story, one that leads to a little frog's dilemma. But first, a question. What is your favorite childhood book? If you were to ask me that question, I would say Alexander and a Horrible, Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, or The Gruffalo. While these books are special to me and I've loved them forever, there's not many of them which I look at and think, wow, this is me. I am a third culture kid, and that looks something like this. My passport culture is Kenya, and my host culture has looked like China, Malaysia, and Tanzania at different points in my life. The third culture is where those three meet. The third culture is unique. It doesn't have a geographic capital, a holiday, a language, and anything that traditionally signifies a culture. In my head, I hear the beginning of a normal child-parent conversation. Mom, where does the third culture come from? The parent stumbles with their words and says, when two cultures love each other very much, sometimes they meet and make a third culture. A third culture is a 1 + 1 = 3 type of equation. I'm the green triangle in the middle. Pieces of me belong in each 3 of those circles. And being a third culture kid has molded me into who I am. I wouldn't change it for a thing. But this doesn't stop the fact that because of this, I face different challenges. Being a third culture kid has often left me feeling isolated, confused, and unheard. I'm confident that other TCKs would agree with me on this. But it's not something that's unique to the third culture experience or to anyone in this room. It's something that we can all resonate with. I'll play it in various ways, be it your nationality, your race, or your gender. And because this is something that I deeply resonate with, I knew that I wanted to create a bridge of sorts. Something which would connect somebody also feeling isolated with everybody else also feeling the same way. So I began with some digging. My suspicions that they were already wearing Lilo representation was found true. I conducted a research study across 5 schools between Kenya and Tanzania, looking at the representation of Black characters in children's books for reference. And I found that less than 30% of characters were Black, and of that 30%, just about 14 of those were main characters. Susan Sontag, an American writer, once said, the stories we tell literally make the world. And those statistics showed to me that there was a need to tell my story. I wanted to tell something that could reflect the type of stories I would have wanted to see and make others who are in the shadows come to the light. With introspection, inspiration, and collaboration, I ended up with a story with a little frog and its dilemma. The story takes place in a pond with 4 main regions, and each of these regions have their native skills. Our frog has parents from 2 parts and another 2 parts, meaning it's a bit from everywhere. And the queen's birthday is coming up, and only the best of frogs are selected to perform. And in each of these regions, the skills have a particular skill. Some are magicians, some are dancers, but the frog's skills are relatively diluted. He's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. He tries to dance, he falls, tries to do magic, the rabbit doesn't come out of the hat. He faces lots of obstacles. And at some point he gives up. But he has something very unique about him. His croak. Not something that anybody would have ever considered. Not something that people would assume is worthy of performing for the queen's birthday. And that unique quality, which comes from his mixed identity, is what allows him to perform for the queen. While this is inspired by my personal story, the frog is a metaphor for what so many of us can relate to. Sorry. And if even one person can read this story and think, oh, that's me, then its purpose is fulfilled. And the greatest news is that each of us have the power to make a bridge. Your bridge might not even be a story. A book, the opportunity to share personal narrative exists far beyond the confines of a book. So, to everybody in this audience, I encourage you to embrace your own stories. The stories that weave together your triumphs, experiences, and struggles. They carry the potential to ignite empathy, break down barriers, and foster invaluable connection. Years from now, the class of 2033 could be sat at your symposium, and somebody could ask, hey, what's your favorite childhood book? And just maybe somebody might say, The Little Frog's Dilemma. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was awesome. All right. Next, I'd like to welcome up Camille to the stage.
Hello, everyone. We've often disassociated ourselves from what lies below the ocean's surface. It's a world that seems so unknown and out of our reach after all. But in reality, we have never been more involved with the oceans than we are in the world of today. It's a shame to say that our impacts have been more negative than not, resulting in ocean acidification, rising sea levels, more than 10 million tons of plastic entering the oceans every year, and the loss of over 52% of all known marine biodiversity in the last 40 years. So why is this important? Well, because our seemingly different worlds are a lot more interconnected than we might think. In the last 2 years here at TGS, many of my projects have revolved around being in the oceans as much as possible. You can say I'm the type of person that likes to get over-involved with the world below the waves. Sorry about that. In the world below the waves. Once again. Okay. I kid you not when I say I went as far as scavenging for any opportunities to explore the aquatic wonders that many of our host countries had to offer, thanks to the freedom of our Changemaker curriculum. Considering I'm standing on the stage talking about it, I must have done some pretty cool things, but it all started somewhere. I could say that somewhere for me was when I was 12, taking the first leap of faith off a boat with my scuba gear on. But let me fast forward a few years into the future to last year, in the aquarium of the biggest mall in the world. Where else would that be if not Dubai? My initial motivations were quite simple. I'm an avid shark enthusiast and have wanted to swim with them for the longest time. So I told myself, what better opportunity than to dive headfirst in an aquarium with over 400? And so I did. Well, it was that easy if you admit all the logistics behind it, but for the sake of this talk, I will be omitting them. I remember resurfacing from that dive and knowing that this was going to be the trademark of my projects at TGS. And little did I know that this fun little passion would bring me to so many great things. Through this academic year, I pursued my insatiable curiosity for the wild, wet world in Oman and Malaysia through different approaches for each. I was on the island of Borneo for 2 months. I was definitely going to explore its amazing biodiversity of endemic species. So, as a joint project with another student, Sipo Kazi, we use GIS technology to map out the coral reefs and their dominant biodiversity of an island off the coast of Kota Kinabalu, our host city. I soon came to realize that the biodiversity haven I dreamt of was at risk of being damaged beyond repair from global warming, pollution, and unsustainable fishery practices. And what I thought was a simple project was actually contributing to identifying surviving marine population demographics. It was my first time using scuba diving for conservation, using the sport that I love so much as a tool to collect data for a greater environmental whole, opened my eyes to the potentials I have as a diver. Last term in Oman, my diving was for a personal achievement, as I was advanced enough in my career to get my rescue and master diver certifications. So I dove with those intentions in mind and got certified right after term. The following clip that I will play, I wanted to keep as a memento to my initial scuba diving motivations at TGS. These are large female bull sharks that I dove with off the coast of Tulum a few months ago. It was one of the biggest pivotal moments in my dive career where I was reminded why I do this, why I fell in love with the oceans in the first place. But these projects didn't only fill out my dive logs and my camera roll with really cool videos. They've allowed me to experience the reality of marine coastal systems across the globe and learn about the issues that their biodiversity hubs face. 1 second, please. Right. I've had the chance to meet amazing divers and environmentalists and conservationists through the international dive community who share similar passions than me and are part of local conservation efforts. It's broadened my outlook on the interconnectedness of issues that affect marine ecosystems worldwide. Diving is not just about breathing in an environment where you shouldn't and looking at fish doing their thing. It's so much more than that. It's learning about issues that affect marine ecosystems and being part of a community that's taking active action for these issues. It's becoming a more aware diver and person when it comes to the environment and making small life changes to become more sustainable. Diving in and out of TGS has definitely led me a step closer to being that type of individual, which is the type that I want to be. As a future student in an environmental field, these experiences have been extremely valuable in shaping the way that I want to tackle these issues. Turning your passions into projects is very hard and can be very intimidating. Scuba projects have taught me all about that. But if there's also one thing I've learned, is that taking the leap of faith like I did when I was 12, it pays off. In my case, I've learned to dive with a greater purpose than just being mesmerized by what I see underwater. I dive for conservation, I dive for environmentalism and sustainability. I dive for an ocean with more fish than plastic in it. So think about it. If you take that leap, what will you dive for? Thank you.
Wow, from that incredible talk to the oceans, we now transition to smart homes for the elderly. So everybody, please give a warm welcome to Gab.
Who cares for elderly and dependent individuals in our society? How can technology provide more independence for dependent individuals? When bit rates continue to decrease worldwide, how technology meet the need for caregivers in the near future? As medicine and quality of life improves, there is a growing imbalance between elderly and younger individuals. Who will take care of our aging society? As the need for carers increases, in contrast to the reduced birth rates, how can we meet the demand of caregivers? Here is the gap: an aging population, fewer caregivers, and increased illnesses related to old age. In a world where technology is getting more integrated into our lives, how can we leverage the potential of technology to find new and unique solutions? In the past decades, technology has improved our lives and gets integrated into our lives. Right now, you all have here a miniature computer that can solve 99% of your life's problems. Even us, as students, we have our little friend, Professor GPT, who can write your research paper in one night, or even do your speech for Symposium. But my point is that technology is improving our life in so many ways. However, why are we not utilizing technology to benefit vulnerable people in our society? Let me introduce you to my grandpa. He's Boris. Boris has dementia, and sometimes he gets disoriented, and his condition makes him very attached to my grandma, which is rude. She's my grandma. Also, due to complications to her old age, she has limited mobility and problems related to her sight and her hearing. They're both very proud people, and they were embarrassed by this transition in life where they need constant assistance to do daily tasks that, for many of us, we take it for granted. They are the motivation of my project, and I know that many of you can understand and empathize to this situation. My idea is to integrate virtual assistant technologies into their home to examine how they could improve their daily life by increasing dependency while reducing the workload of their carers. My ambition is not simply to make their life easier, it's also to create a model that could be replicated in any elderly and dependent individual households. If you think, sometimes we don't consider the workload that the carers have. They cook, they clean, they take them to doctor's appointment, and while they're doing all that, they're constantly worried if my grandparents fall ill or may have an accident. So to get more information, I interview both parties, the carers and my grandparents, in order to understand what's their current situation. With this information, I was able to create a technology-based system, a MAPA technology-based system to resolve some of their daily needs. The challenges that I focused on was communication between my grandparents and their carers, order and organization, and entertainment. So in order to do this, I use design thinking as my research approach. And well, some of the main challenges they faced daily was the difficult communication. My grandma can't really see her phone, so it's difficult for her to communicate inside and outside the house. Also, the carers, they are doing a lot of things at the same time, so they often forget about punctual things that happen. For example, adding something to the shopping list or buying a medicine. They need a more effective system to take care of their duties of the house and also to take care of my grandparents. So I identified relevant devices from Amazon Alexa that counter all individuals in the household necessities, and I put them across strategic parts of the house. In terms of the design, I brainstormed different types of design and using different designing platforms, even video games. Yeah, video games. I used The Sims 4 to create an initial idea of how I wanted the house to look like. Then that design was later going to be formalized in an actual design platform. The outcomes were incredible. Communication improved so much. For example, my grandma doesn't have a powerful voice to call her carers, but now with Alexa, she feels the communication improved inside and outside the house. Also, the carers now feel more organized and accountable with their tasks because Alexa reminds them those little details that they often forget. Also, both parties feel more secure because carers have a more constant monitoring on them since some of these devices have cameras or microphones on it. As well, I was able to program some routines, which these routines include such as what time is it, or how's the weather, play an audiobook, play music. But one of the most important that I created is when my grandparents shouted, "Alexa, ayuda!" An alarm will go off around the house, indicating that something went wrong, so the carers can go and give an instant assistance. And then the entertainment aspect was also amazing. My grandparents, the TV for my grandparents was not entertaining anymore, but now they have music and they have audiobooks, so they entertain themselves. They mostly use Alexa to entertain themselves, but also because they like that feeling of company. So this project mixes technology and artificial intelligence to take care of the people we love. But it's important now that we implement technology into our daily lives because it might sound scary, but this is making a real change in someone's life. So let's give them some back of their dependency of their independency, but please, never forget that any technology will be able to give them love, compassion. It's not gonna able to give any love, compassion to all the individuals. So please, take care of the people who once took care from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Gabriel. Thank you. Okay, now I'd like to call up a compelling storyteller up to the stage, Rhiannon. What a dramatic entrance. Okay.
Sorry, I was in the bathroom. Hello everyone, today I'm Rhiannon, and today I'm going to be presenting a story I wrote in Botswana. Okay, so in Botswana I met with storytellers from all different disciplines, published authors, poets, musicians, weavers, farmers, safari rangers. And through these, we listened to different stories from them. And through my experiences listening and learning from them, I was given the task to write my own story based on my own experiences. Given this task, I noticed 3 defining characteristics. Number 1, listen to your elders. This was a moral and theme that was all throughout Botswana and through every experience and interaction that I observed. Number 2, nature and wildlife. In our time in Botswana, we spent almost 2 weeks camping in the Okavango Delta, and one of the most defining experiences for me was staying in this self-made hut and hearing elephants walking past us in the middle of the night. Last and not least, every single story that I heard was a children's story, teaching kids lessons. With this, I decided to write a story about a young girl named Mpo, learning the important lesson to listen to her elders through first-hand experiences with animals as she adventures through the Okavango Delta. Today, I'm going to be providing a snippet of this story. And as she made her way there, she sang, "What is a zebra? It has 4 knees, it can't climb trees, it sometimes eats leaves. It is not very tall. Does it have a tail? Is it slightly small? Is it faster than a snail?" As Mpo walked along the riverbed, she tried to find an animal with her descriptions. She must find an animal with 4 knees, can't climb trees, sometimes eats leaves, and what was the last one? Is not very tall. But as she looked, she couldn't find any animal with those descriptions. Maybe she could look on the other side of the river. She came to a part where stones were poking out across the river all the way to the other side. What an amazing path for her to take. She hopped onto the first stone. It's a very soft stone, surprisingly smooth. She hopped onto the next one. All of a sudden, the stone moved, and 2 large eyes poked out of the water, followed with a great big fat face. "What are you doing on my back?" "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." "Well, you see, young girl, I'm particularly nice, and I don't eat humans, or any meat in general. But if you had stepped on any of these other people in this river, they would have snapped you up straight away, not because they're hungry, but because they're mean." "That doesn't sound very nice. Could you help me to the other side of the river?" All right. As the hippo started to slowly meander across the river with Mpo on his back, Mpo asked, "Can I ask you a question?" "Yes." "Do you have 4 legs?" "Yes." "Can you climb trees?" "No." Do you eat leaves? Sometimes. And you're shorter than a giraffe? Of course. Are you a zebra? Zebra. Oh, no. I am a hippo. I live in the water and I eat the grass. I can crush anything with my jaw, and I'm surprisingly fast. I am not a zebra. These zebras are hard to find. My father taught me how to find a zebra, but I didn't listen. That's a silly mistake. You must always listen to your elders. They know all the tips and tricks on how to live life. I wouldn't be here talking to you if I hadn't listened to my mother. Yeah, I'm starting to get that now. Do you think there's anything you could tell me about zebras to help me find one? One thing I know for sure about zebras is that their tails are longer than mine. I don't like to admit that. I'm very proud of my tail. With that, they had gotten to the other side of the river, and Poe hopped off the back. Thank you so much for helping me across this river, and for not eating me. You're welcome, but if I can give you any advice, never come near hippos again. You'll get in lots of trouble if you do. With that, the hippo drifted away, and Poe began her journey again. It had been a long day full of questions and worries, and Poe was getting very tired. But it was hot, oh so hot, and she couldn't find any shade to rest in. That's when she came across a hole in the ground, almost like a tunnel. It seemed cool down there, away from the sun. And Poe got down on the ground and shimmied into the tunnel until it opened up into a cave-like room. It was cool and perfect for a nap, and Poe curled up, about to fall asleep, when all of a sudden a slimy and grating voice echoed across the cave. "Is that meat I smell?" And Poe jumped up startled and looked at a bright yellow eye blinking at her across the cave. Oh my God, what is that? Her eyes adjusted, and it was a long, scaly body with a long, strong tail, 4 short, fat legs, and a huge mouth filled with teeth. Hello, who are you? Do you know what I am, girl? A zebra? Zebra. Oh, how vile. No, I am a crocodile. I have a long body, scales and claws. I swim extremely fast and have 80 teeth. I am not a zebra. What matters is that you're in my den. I don't like people being in my den. I'm so sorry, I'll leave now. She got up and started to shimmy towards the entrance of the cave when all of a sudden the crocodile whipped its tail and blocked the entrance. Don't leave. You're here now. Might as well stay. Do you eat meat? Meat? Oh, I love meat. All types of meat. And Poe noticed that if she managed to climb over the tail, she would be able to escape. She must pick the right time. The crocodile continued. You know what I love about humans? I can eat them. With that, Poe jumped up and hopped over the tail and sprinted out. The crocodile chased after her, snapping and snarling, mouth dripping with saliva. Come here, I'm hungry. She ran and ran and ran until a truck came roaring past. And Poe, where have you been? It was her uncle and father. And Poe, filled with relief, oh, uncle, oh, father, you'll have no idea what happened. She told them all the whole story on the way home. And Poe, you should have listened. You get in trouble if you don't listen, her uncle exclaimed. Yes, I know that, father and uncle. But when I was out there, I listened and I paid attention, and I learnt so much. I'll pay attention from now on. As the sun sank into the sky and the sky turned red, a herd of animals went past with black and white stripes. And Poe looked at the animal. It had 4 legs. It didn't look like it could climb trees. It seemed like it would eat leaves. It had a tail. Father, what is that? That, Poe, is a zebra.
the very same topic of animals, let's all welcome Andrea to the stage to talk about dogs.
Do you like dogs? I love dogs. In the world, there are 300 million stray dogs, 6 million in Peru, and more than 400 in my district. All of those dogs eat in garbage dumps. Did you know that each of us produces 100 kilograms of waste food each year? In Peru, in the year 2021, half of the food went to the trash. Imagine how many dogs we could feed with such a quantity of food. What do you do when you see a stray dog? You probably feel sorry for it, but then think, well, I'm pretty sure someone else will help it. And that happened to me too. But I decided to take action and stop thinking someone else will do what I really want to do. And so I was there, during the break after Turkey, sitting in my room thinking about my next project. How can I feed these dogs? Is it possible to give them leftovers? Wait, is that a crazy question? Imagine a future where wasted food is transformed into sustainable solutions, where stray dogs are well fed, dewormed, and where the stray dog population is low. Hi, I'm Andrea, and I was born in Peru. When I saw these problems, I decided to take action and try to solve them. That's why I founded Foodstainable, an initiative dedicated to creating sustainable dog kibble using wasted food with a mission to reduce waste food, feed, and deworm stray dogs. But to really know what I was supposed to do, I had to do more research. Have you ever read what kind of ingredients are there in the dog food you buy? I've never done that, but I got surprised by the use of preservatives and food coloring. These are really bad for the health of your dog. BHA and BHT are artificial preservatives that can cause allergies, increase blood lipid levels, and even cancer. But why do they put food coloring? Did you know that dogs can't even differentiate between red and green? They put it because they want it to look attractive to people, so they buy it for their dogs. But food coloring can cause behavioral effects and cancer. Moreover, dog food costs are increasing. The average price of 1 kilogram is $2.96, and soon many won't be able to afford it. So, as you may know, stray dogs find their food in garbage dumps, and this can cause them many things, such as getting parasites. One of the most common ones is the protozoa parasites, which can cause diseases in the intestinal tract. To find a solution to these problems, I wrote a research paper where I proved that natural preservatives such as cabbage and beets can be used in dog kibble. Beets not only provide a natural coloring, but also enhance the attractiveness of the food. Additionally, I found out that papaya seeds are an effective and natural dewormer, and we can create nutritious and sustainable dog kibble with leftovers. I did some experimentation to develop different flavors and formulations in the dog kibble. I also conducted an experiment with my own dogs, conducting pre- and post-consumption tests to ensure the effectiveness of the kibble. These findings are outlined in my research paper, which I invite you to read in my booth. To make sure every one of you in this room can access this information, I created a website in different languages such as English, Spanish, and Chinese, which will be available in the following terms. Through the website, you will be able to contribute by donating, sharing information, and replicating the same project in your own community, and even buying dog food at half the price of industrial dog kibble. My goal is to become a non-profit organization sustained through donations and sales, with profits going towards sterilizing stray dogs to address the root cause of a stray dog population. I would like to take this initiative one step further by continue working on improving the website, getting donations, and initiating the feeding of stray dogs. Together, we can create a positive change and make a lasting difference. Let's join hands, embrace innovation, and build a compassionate community that leaves no one behind. Together, we can ensure a brighter and more sustainable future for our four-legged friends. Thank you.
Which one's on this one? Okay. Thank you so much for that, Andrea. Next is a very, very talented artist that I aspire to be, Mila.
Music is ever-changing. Thank you. Music is dramatic. Music is passionate. Music is violent. Music is peaceful. At its core, music is fusion. Global harmony is the fusion of different musical styles worldwide mixed with my original songwriting. Carried by experimental sounds, I do not shy down from taking creative risks. Mexico taught me the art of lyricism and how simple melodies can emerge into gigantic orchestral forms. France taught me to keep music from home while having a spark of individuality. The UAE taught me how to write double and triple entendres while not hesitating to change vocal styles. And Botswana taught me harmony, the art of strategic repetition. Music is the ultimate translation of my soul. Through this project, I created an EP of 5 songs where I wrote a song per country in which I implemented the musical characteristics of the countries we visited, my personal experiences, and the feelings that I created there. That was my EP Global Harmony out this summer.
Thank you, Mila. That was wonderful. Like, whew, okay.
Yeah, truly incredible. Thank you.
Okay, next, I'd like to call up to the stage CM1 Principal Adnan.
Thought you'd forgotten me for a minute, Raf. Thank you so much, as always, to our students. Incredible presentations. Not an easy hour for a baby boomer, middle-aged man, but we deserve, I think, all that we got. And nice to know that Gabe has my old age under control. Some thank yous I would like to make, which I have written down because otherwise I forget somebody important. I didn't go to ChatGPT, I've written them out. The issue being that now I'm going to try and read my own handwriting. Students, not just those that we've seen here performing so confidently and brilliantly today, but to all of you for all that you've done during the past year, your creativity and commitment never diminished despite the myriad challenges and contexts and difficulties of our year. So don't think that goes unnoticed. Terrific. A thank you to the staff who have pulled together brilliantly for me this term and also in previous terms for Shell, to continue to provide the imaginative and exciting and engaging modules that you do, while simultaneously working on a plethora of personal projects, everything from going diving to singing to dancing to all the things that I can do. So it is noted and it is appreciated. Some thank yous for some personal individuals in no particular order, to Matt, Riley, Michelle and Tashi for making, I'm sure, what is a hugely difficult logistical task in organising the day look very simple. Perhaps it didn't look quite so calm with the back off, but I thought it was almost seamless today, so much appreciated, and hopefully a repeat tomorrow. To Rachel for, it's hard for me to know what to thank you for, Rach, because it seems like you do more or less everything, but it is appreciated, and I possibly won't know the ways in which you've helped me, so I just wanted to say thank you here. Those staff we have who are leaving, I would like to acknowledge everything that they have done this term. Vega, for your relentless hard work and the, no, I really can't read this, unwavering belief that your personal values give you, and that leads you to never take the easy path, which I think I said to you before, so we're very grateful. To Alara for imagine how long it takes to mentor 30 maths projects each and every term, and to do that so unrelentingly and to never dip 1 percentile point in your effort and your commitment. We are very thankful. To Sharika for your kindness and your willingness to listen always. To everybody, I will miss that, and I'm sure our students will too. And finally, I know she's not here, but to Shell for leading us so valiantly with such energy and dedication in the first 3 terms of the year. So those are my thank yous. I think Adnan has a few words for you too, but perhaps a round of applause for the people that I've mentioned.
Not much left to say. I'll start with knowing your why. We have been preaching that since day one in Changemaker program, and we've been encouraging you to figure out your why. And once you know that why, the how and the what will come with it. And I've seen that over the past 8 years. As a lot of you know, this is my last symposium, and I want you to remember your whys, to stand up for those whys, to speak up for those whys, and to fight for them. As Christoph said tonight, take action. No matter where you are, no matter whether you're in uni, gap year, you're staying on for next year, your voice matters. Your why matters. Remember that and hold on to it, because the community we have created, shows here tonight, is very strong, and I'm very proud of every single and each individual in this community over the past however many years I've been here. Thank you to the students for your amazing project every year. And I say this, every year you surprise me. You leave me speechless. To the staff, it's been a rough year. It's been a rough term. But thank you for all the effort that you have put into for our students, for pushing them to grow, for pushing them to believe in themselves, and for having them be capable and able to deliver what they delivered today. As you go into the world, remember that, again, knowing your why will show you how to do the how and what. Congrats and good luck. Thank you. I love you all, and I'm going to miss you a lot. Now, back to business. The food is through this corner. There's coffee. There's a small booth room with projects, personal projects, or math, language, and something else in there. And the big room has personal projects and sensory room. Note of caution, if you are allergic to things, maybe don't go into that room. Enjoy. Once you have some coffee, please feel free to explore the booth.
All right, this is the last time signing off. It's your boy, with your boy.
We hope you enjoy.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get the musical stuff quite right, but hopefully you heard some cool things. Oh, the lights are on, nice, yeah.
That's time to go.
Last time it's been real. Just remember, we're always here for the stream. Anything you gotta say?
We're here for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir, the stream, yes, sir.
The stream must live on. God bless.